Welcome, everybody, to Let's Talk, the Todd Worsham Show. Good day, everybody, and welcome aboard. So, today's episode, um, I'm going to try to be as non political as I can because it's really not about politics. It's just interesting information that I was thinking about the other day, and I thought you guys would like to hear about it too. Anyway, so today's episode's called. Yeah, I was going to call it Planned Parenthood, but I don't know. I might just call it population. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so I was doing some research, actually a while ago. Um, when I say a while ago, I mean like years ago. It was kind of years on population because you remember the whole thing with Planned Parenthood came up and and the left wing's trying to tell you that freedom of choice and this and that, and the right wing's trying to tell you, oh, you're murderers and this and that. So I try to come up with my own thoughts and my own conclusions and my own stuff. So I do my own research. And back, God, I want to say it was about 2016 or 18. I want to say I was doing some research on this. And the research that I had found at the time had said that the black population actually dwindled from 14%. I'm sorry, from 16% to 14%. I remember it very good because they just stuck. The numbers just stuck in my head. I was really, really appalled because that was kind of like one of the argument that the right wing was, scared, doing their scare tactics on, like, oh, they're they're genociding the blacks. So I thought, well, it's a pretty outlandish thing to say. That's pretty crazy. You shouldn't be talking. You shouldn't be saying stuff like that. So anyway, so I went online and I went to the census, or I want to say I went to the census. It's usually where I would go. I don't remember what site I went to, but more than likely I went to a government site. I know myself that would more than likely be where I went to, like I did today. So I went there today, and it's kind of not the same. It says in 2010 that the black population was 12.3%, and in 2022 it was 12.6%. So I don't know. This stuff researching frustrates me sometimes because I know that I've done research in the past, and I know I had numbers, and I know I read information. Didn't print it, but I know what I read, and I'm not perfect, so I don't remember everything. But some things just stick in my head for some dumb reason, and that was just one of them. And when I got to these numbers on the website today, it just really blew me away because the numbers weren't even nowhere near um, last time I researched this. But I just thought it was kind of weird because by looking at the charts, and I'm going to do it while I'm talking to you here. I'm going to look it up. But so out of all the races, let's see if I can find that again. Because I looked at everything up by my race. Just I was just curious to see what races were growing in the United States and which were shrinking. Of course, white people are shrinking. I mean, I think we all know that. So, and I'm not saying nothing. I'm just stating facts. The white population is dwindling the fastest. The Hispanic population is increasing the fastest, along with the Asians. And after all that, the black community it's stagnant. It's just not doing anything. So, and I probably kind of did this backwards, but that was the whole thing of my Planned Parenthood because I remember reading um, a paper from Margaret Sanger, who is the founder of Planned Parenthood. I believe she founded it like in 19. I want to say in 1921, or I believe it was in the 20s. It might have been earlier than that. I don't know. So I mean, she was a Margaret Sanger. She was a forerunner. I mean, she was a front runner uh, a glass ceiling breaker for women's rights, women's birth rights, and a lot of things. I mean, she did a lot of good things, but on the same hand, she said a lot of crazy things, and I don't know if it was intentional. I wasn't around in those times, and I know times are different in our country. You know, like slavery was one time, and the Civil War was another time, and World War One, and we have all these milestones in our country's history. And women's rights is one of them, and I'm all for it. I'm not against, I'm not against people being free. That's all I can tell you. Abortion, I'm not. I have my own views on that, and I don't know if I really want to get into it because I'm going to leave it at this. Every single argument I've ever heard in my life about abortion, I have never heard a single conversation about the child. And that really scares me, and it throws me back in my chair. And I agree women should have rights to do just like the vaccination. I mean, we should all have the right to do with our body as we choose, and I agree upon that. But on the same hand, in my mind, after conception and after the soul enters the fetus, which we're not really sure what time, and we can all argue about that. So that's what I'm saying. I don't like to get into this conversation too much, but at any rate, my beliefs are probably with about a third of the country, maybe more. I don't know, but I don't think it should be illegal. But on the other hand, I don't think it should be a form of birth control. And by reading all the statistics and everything I went through about probably went through about 6 or 7 different websites because the information's all over the place. And then it depends, because this is a very, very, very political, it's very political, this subject. It's very political. So it's really hard to get really good information from both sides of the aisle, especially, and I know I say this probably almost every single episode I do, I say this. Google does not give you everything. And you will probably have to end up going back to the 4th or 5th page to find a debate or to find a rebuttal or to find different information from different sources and stuff like that, because all you're going to find up on the front few pages is going to be, in my opinion, a one-sided view. I can prove that by Googling anything almost, especially anything political. If you Google anything political, it is going to be 99% left-wing propaganda, and then further back is the right-wing propaganda. So I don't know, and I don't know which is factual, which isn't anymore. I mean, it's just so, you would think in the age of the internet, in the age of all this information at our fingertips, and all the power that we have in gathering information, you would really believe that the average person would be a lot more educated and a lot more knowledgeable and a lot more understanding of things. But actually, in my opinion, it's completely convoluted everything. I find it more difficult to find accurate information right now today than in, won't say any time in my life, but just, I would say probably within the last 10 years. Well, I'd say more than that. God, I hate to be political. I would honestly say since 2008, I believe our internet system has been propagandized, if that's a word. But anyway, and on both sides, I'm not. I'm telling you, people, man. I'm a constitutionalist. Okay, I just believe in the Constitution. That's all I got to say about that. And if you want to go towards the Constitution and abortion, abortion's not in the Constitution. And in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, you have the right to do what you want. This is America. I mean, I don't get it. So I don't know. It just seems to me like we all have too much time on our hands or something, because we're always arguing and fighting about stupid shit. Um, I don't know. When I grew up, nobody ever knew who anybody voted for. You didn't even talk politics. Sure, if something outlandish happened, or something out of the norm or whatever, then of course then it's gossip, it's talk, but it's not geared to be left wing or right wing. So it's very polarizing today, and it's very deceptive and on both sides. I mean, I'm not believe me. Believe me when I tell you that I cannot stand the Republicans as much as I cannot stand the Democrats. Now, what I really don't like are the left wing loony nuts, and like I said, I really don't like to be political. Like for Gavin Newsom, I mean, that guy is so far out in left field. I don't understand, and I'm from California, and I don't understand how someone with his ideologies is in charge of anything. Jesus, I wouldn't let him babysit my baby. At any rate, so let's get back to the subject. Todd's ADHD kicking in. At any rate, so Margaret Sanger, sorry, I got way off. She was yeah, so she was like in the 20s. Let's see if I can pick it up here. Yeah, so she was actually a very, very cool person, very very outspoken, kind of like a Martin Luther King type person. Stood up for what she believed in and fought for what she believed in and fought for what she felt was right. Again, like I said, I'm not going to be political, so I'm not saying I agree or disagree with anything that she did or didn't do or whatever. But at any rate, so I'm not really sure why, because all the readings that I've done so far is kind of not really sure, because a lot of it's left wing. It's really hard to find anything right wing. And then if I do, of course, it's just going to be the opposite propaganda as the left wing. So it doesn't really matter. But I do know, because in the past, in college, I actually did research on her, because I was going to do a paper on her, and I chose not to do it in the end. But anyway, so she was labeled as a genocide, was it eugenics. So she was labeled as a eugenics person who wanted to wipe out the black population. Okay, so I don't know if that's true. I never met her. I've gone through a few of her papers. I've gone through some readings and some articles and stuff. And what I'm going to say about that is, I think that she did some controversial things and said some controversial things that could lead people into believing that. Because I did. That's what I was one of those people who believed that. But I'll be real honest with you. Now I'm not really sure. And again, like I always tell people, you can't, in my opinion, you should not compare today's world to how the world functioned 40, 50, 60, in this case is 100 years ago. How, functioned 100 years ago, because it's non-comparable. We didn't have the same problems. Life was just completely different. We were still learning. We are still learning. So I don't like when people compare what's going on today from what happened in the past. I think that's completely unfair, and I don't like it. So I have to say this, from what I've read today, I am actually going to probably change my mind a little bit and say that I don't know for certain if she was eugenics or not. I really don't know. I mean, some of the statements that she said, because she wanted to get the black population into these Planned Parenthood clinics, and it just so happened that, especially in the 20s, for all you younger people out there, if you were a teenage girl and you came home pregnant in the 1920s, you probably wouldn't go home. Actually, you would probably have ran away from home and then came back later. Um, I would say that was probably a higher probability than coming home, and because again, you cannot compare 2024 to 1924. No, 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 no. Fortunately, unfortunately, however you want to look at it, the household, the family structure, the United States structure, everything was completely different back then. Completely different. And I can tell you, even in my lifetime, like even in the 60s and 70s, well, I was born in the 60s, but um, even when I was younger, it wasn't cool for people to get pregnant. I mean, it just, um, if a girl got pregnant in our high school, it was like not really good. So I can get how black people would really like these clinics. But in my opinion, I think when you make abortion a birth control, you teach our children and you teach our population, our citizens, you teach them the wrong message. Um, the message should be more either being more responsible or to God, I can't think of the word right now. Brain farting. Abstinence, or just practice abstinence where and I'm the last person to even talk about that. I'm bad. Oh, I was bad. I'm not bad anymore, but I was really bad when I was younger. Um, and but I did practice safe sex. I mean, I can't honestly say that until I was older. So I can say that. But at any rate, so Planned Parenthood today is known as the abortion clinics. Whether you're right wing or left wing, it doesn't matter. They're the center of a lot of the abortion debate. Is Planned Parenthood is right in the middle of all that. I mean, it's dead smack in the middle, and it just, like everything else in our country, it just divides us. It's just another division. We're divided on race. We're divided on abortion. We're divided on politics. We're divided on the border. We're divided on. I mean, we're just. I don't understand why our country all of a sudden just got divided like this, because it was never like this when I grew up. And I know a lot of people may or may not like this, but in my opinion, it happened during the Obama election. From that point on, it seemed like our country just grew further and further apart, and there was more and more wedges put between people, especially the blacks and the whites. And I can't speak for all white people, but I can tell you that I really don't give a shit what color you are. That's how I was raised. I wasn't raised to see color. And I know some of the liberals, that pisses them off, because then that tells them that, oh, you don't recognize that I'm black. And it's like, oh my God, of course I recognize you're black, but I don't give a fuck. Okay, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to treat you different because you're black or white or Asian or whatever you are. Even if you're transsexual, transgender, ABH2, LBGTQ, Z, do whatever. I don't give a fuck. Got nothing to do with me. And I don't really care for gay parades and gay pride and transgender this and transgender that. And it's not that I don't care about those people or that I hate those people or anything against those people. My problem is that's none of my business. I really don't care what you sleep with. Sleep with 10 monkeys. I don't care. It's got nothing to do with my life. And I don't understand why certain groups of people have to like make noise and rise above and pretend that they don't have rights that everybody else has. It just it's just it blows me away is what it does. And I don't understand any of it. All right, so to get back to the topic again, ADHD, kick it in. So I don't know what to think about the black population being stagnant. Um, I would have to do a lot more research into that, but I'm me personally by just knowing what I know and seeing what I've seen in my lifetime. I would contribute a lot of that to drugs, um, murder, and abortion. I would say it's probably those three things combined. Because I mean, if you do the math and you go on the government website and you look up the numbers, more black people kill black people than anything. Um, More black people kill white people than any other race. More black people kill Asians more than any other race. You know, and I'm not pointing fingers, and I'm not. You can go on US.gov yourself, and you can look up these numbers just like I did. I'm not being bipartisan. I mean, I'm not being partisan on any level. I mean, um, I'm just stating numbers and stating facts. I mean, those are the numbers. I mean, if you look at how many white people kill black people versus how many black people kill white people, it's not even it's the numbers are so far upside down, it's insane. And what's really really sad and what really really irritates me about the whole left wing extreme liberal propaganda is how many blacks are killing blacks. And I don't understand why we can't talk about that. I don't understand. It's almost like being gay in the 40s. It's like you just pick up the rug and you just sweep it underneath there and call it good. Oh, no, we're we're just not going to talk about that. No, that's no, you can't talk about black on black violence because that just doesn't happen. Yeah, we'll go to Chicago, we'll go to Detroit, we'll go to any major city. I mean, hell, I grew up in Lakewood, California, and I don't know how many miles from LA I was, probably maybe 30, 40 miles from LA. I don't know. At any rate, I know when I grew up in the 70s and 80s, if you were white, you couldn't go into certain parts of LA. Period. And I know this for a fact because when I was older in the 80s, I had friends that went there to go do not so good things and wound up in really bad situations and wound up getting hurt. So not only do I know this because it was part of my life. I mean, I lived it. I mean, when I was younger, I was all over Southern California, everywhere from from Ensenada all the way up to San Francisco. I mean, I traveled all through the mountains, beaches, everywhere. That's all I did was just, I was on the move when I was young. So I know that everywhere, every time you go to these minority neighborhoods, the crime was really bad. And I'm not racist, and I don't care about race. I mean, it's just I just look at numbers and look at facts and look at reality, and then I say it as I see it. You know, I live in South Scottsdale, pretty much predominantly white. I mean, I can pretty much walk through my neighborhood 24 hours a day. I go down the street a little ways. I can't do that. And it's crazy. And I don't know. But I don't know how I got the subject of this from Planned Parenthood. But I did. But anyway, we'll talk about a little bit of everything. But so, yeah, so I'm going to maybe change my thoughts. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to change them, but I'm probably going to do a little bit more research and get a better opinion on that. But I do know the right wing paints Planned Parenthood as a murder house, and I know that. I mean, anybody that watches the news or watches the propaganda, you all know that. So we've been desensitized, and we've been this and that. But I don't know. If you ask me, the numbers kind of back that up, because if there's over, let's see, what was it? So let's put it. Okay, this is how screwed up the numbers are. So on NPR, right? Which I don't trust NPR at all, but I gotta be, gotta be fair. And actually, I don't trust either one of these two websites I went to, especially because the numbers were so far off. So NPR is saying in 2023 there was over 1 million abortions in the United States. Right? So I'm going through this and I'm thinking, damn, that's a lot. So I started going through it. I'm scrolling down, going down, and I get to the CDC website. So I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, what is Center for Disease Control? What the hell do they have to do with abortion? So I opened it up and I read their article. Well, they're saying it's a little over 500,000. And I just stopped my research at that point, because, I mean, I can see being off by, 100,000, 50,000, something like that. But to be off over 500,000 abortions, I'm going to say that this is all. I'm going to say nobody's putting the right numbers out right now, and for me to get the right numbers, I'll probably really have to go back to page 10 or something. I'll have to start going to universities and start going to some other places and digging in deeper to get some real numbers. But and it's really weird too, because the population in the United States is not it's not growing from within. Now, God, I hate to be political. Now, with the borders open, we just got a boost, and I don't know what the numbers are on that, because here we go again, right wing versus left wing. The right wing wants to tell you that there's 10 million people coming in. I mean, I really don't know. And all I know is it's affected my state, Arizona, greatly. It has caused a lot of problems, especially in crime. Healthcare's gone up. Our food's gone up. It hasn't been good for our economy. Not to mention that all the homeless people sleeping all over the place. I mean, it's just right down the street from my house. I mean, I live in Scottsdale. I mean, hello. And I go down 2 blocks, and there's people sleeping all over the streets there. It's just disgusting, and it shouldn't be happening. But I don't want to go on a political spiel, but we should really be taking care of our own people. I don't know. But anyway, so there you have it. Planned Parenthood. all put together by one and only Margaret Sanger. And it sprung up around the 1920s, and it's still going 100 years later. And I'm sure they've done some good things, but it's just kind of ironic to me that you label something Planned Parenthood, and the number one product the number one product that you sell or endorse is abortion. So, and and now that we have the what is it, the pill, I guess it's the morning after pill or something. I know they just legalized some birth control pills, or I shouldn't say birth control, abortion pills. Let's just say it as they are. They're abortion pills. They kill the fetus after within so many weeks of contraception or conception. I'm so bad with words. How can I be a podcaster? At any rate, so join me every Thursday. Hope you enjoyed my babbling. There are some good facts in there. You can go look them up. But like I said, it just gets harder and harder to research stuff. I mean, you almost got to spend, hours and hours and hours, because you almost can't trust anything that you're researching today. And it's really bothering me because, we all want to make good choices in our life, and we all, want to do the right thing. And if we keep getting fed bogus and false information, it's not good for we the people. Not at all. Just tell the truth, everyone, and you'll be okay. You'll be set free. All right, everybody. See you next Thursday.